Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could recommend us to your friends and family, as well as share information on social media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. For 212 days, Ukraine stands strong against the forces of the Russian invasion. Russian forces started so-called referendums in the occupied areas of Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk and Lugansk regions of Ukraine, reports Slovo y Dilo. These fake referendums are supposed to show support of the residents of these regions to the idea of joining Russia. The Security Service of Ukraine, SBU, has identified more than 4,000 people whom Russia plans to involve in these fake referendums, reports Дзеркало Тижня. According to the SBU, among these people are Russian security officials, their henchmen from the local so-called interior ministries formed by the occupiers, and the heads of the so-called territorial election commissions. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky gave an interview to the French media, reports Interfax Ukraine. In it, Zelensky said that in the war against Russia, Ukraine loses about 50 of its military every day. He noted that the losses of the Ukrainian military are 5 times less than the losses of Russians. The president touched upon Ukraine's relations with China and said that at the moment he does not have a channel of communication with Beijing. Zelensky stressed that he would like to get help from Beijing against Russia's invasion. The president said he was shocked by the lack of aid to Ukraine from Israel since the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Russia. He added that understands that they have to defend their own land, but it is known that Israel exports its weapons to other countries, but not Ukraine. Zelensky believes that Vladimir Putin's ultimate goal is the restoration of the USSR, and people are only expendable material for him. In his evening video address, President Volodymyr Zelensky informed that this week at the UN General Assembly, Ukraine presented its view of the way towards peace. It consists of 5 points. The first, punishment for the aggressor. The second, protection of life, that is, all the necessary assistance to Ukraine in defense. The third point, restoration of security and territorial integrity. The fourth point, security guarantees. And the fifth, the determination to achieve all this together with Ukraine, the determination of the world majority. The president of Ukraine informed that now in Crimea, in places of dense residence of Crimean Tatars minority, there are attempts to find and mobilize as many men as possible. Zelensky believes it to be a deliberate attempt by Russia to destroy the Crimean Tatar people, who in their majority support Ukraine. He called on the residents of the temporarily occupied territory to save their lives and help Ukrainian forces to weaken and destroy the occupiers. Quote, hide from the Russian mobilization by any means, avoid conscription letters, try to get to the free territory of Ukraine, but if you get into the Russian army, sabotage any activity of the enemy, hinder any Russian operations, provide us with any important information about the occupiers, unquote. The president stressed that thanks to such information, Ukraine managed to liberate about 9,000 square kilometers of its territory and about 400 settlements in September alone. Yesterday, Russia attacked the Dnipropetrovsk region and Odessa with Iranian drones. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that 6 of these Iranian drones were shot down by Ukraine's anti-aircraft troops. He also commissioned the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to provide a tough response to this fact. It has already been decided to deprive the ambassador of Iran to Ukraine of accreditation, as well as to significantly reduce the number of diplomatic personnel of the Iranian embassy. The General Staff of Ukraine informed that Ukrainian forces liberated settlement of Yatskivka in the Donetsk region and managed to resume the previously lost position in the area south of Bakhmut, reports Union. Germany transferred 6 more Gepard air defense systems and 6,000 rounds of ammunition to Ukraine, reports Ukrinform. The overall number of these systems provided by Berlin to Kyiv reached 30. In addition, Germany handed over to Ukraine 3,000 artillery shells, in particular 1,000 signal and 2,000 smoke shells. The Ukrainian law enforcers are completing the exhumation of bodies from the mass burial site near Izyum, which was discovered after the liberation of town from the Russian occupation, reports Interfax Ukraine. Head of the Kharkiv Regional Military Administration, Oleksiy Negubov, said that so far 436 bodies, including 21 Ukrainian servicemen, were found. According to him, the majority of them have signs of violent death and 30 the signs of tortures. There are bodies with ropes on the necks, tied arms, broken limbs, and gunshot wounds. Several men had their genitals amputated. Sinyahubo also said that this burial site is not the only one in the region, and at least 3 more have been found in Izium and more in other liberated towns in Kharkiv region. Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska presented her charitable foundation in the US during a charity evening in New York yesterday, reports Interfax Ukraine. According to her, the foundation's primary goal is to restore Ukraine's human capital so that every Ukrainian feels physically and mentally healthy, protected, and able to exercise their right to education, work, and build a future in Ukraine. The Olena Zelenska Foundation has 3 key directions: medicine, education, and humanitarian aid. Within these areas, it will provide targeted assistance, invest in reconstructing preschools and schools, education institutions, hospitals, and provide grants for training and scientific development. We would really appreciate if you could support us on our Patreon. Even $5 a month will help us to continue our work and present to you the latest news from Ukraine. As a token of our gratitude for your support, you will get access to a series of exclusive episodes on wartime life in Ukraine. From this series, you will learn how ordinary Ukrainians live in times of invasion, what they eat, how they travel, celebrate, what music they listen to, and much more. To subscribe to our Patreon, follow the link in the description to this episode. Thank you. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.